Working in customer support is never easy. Working in tech support? I can't even imagine. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Tech Support. Our first one is from Happy Dutchman. Another story reminded me of this experience. I think it was about 1996, and I had a side job as general IT support at a nearby local government office. Long time ago, so I'll enhance the forgotten details. The main IT strategy whenever they needed a new computer for anyone was to go to the local computer store and buy whatever was discounted that day. About 120 or so computers, almost all different and standalone, and an AS400 with about 40 terminals connected. Each user had their own backup routine explained to them. Some did this, but most didn't. One day, management decided they needed upgrading and a network with file server, etc. In comes a big IT company and installs 25 new computers for management and their support staff, including room of typists. I get the task to replace the backup tapes on the 2 days I am around. I noticed the tape wasn't ejected automatically and had to be ejected manually. This worried me as all other backup tape drives I've seen prior would do this. I looked for logs on the server and found none. I even didn't see any scheduled jobs. I contacted Big IT Company about this and their answer was, "Of course you can't see the jobs and logs as they run with special permission." I argued about me logging in with the domain administrator account, but they ignored me. One day I receive a call from the legal person requesting a restore of a document they created a few days ago but was deleted accidentally by themselves just now. They, of course, always did their backup before being migrated to one of the new computers. They urgently need the restore as the document needs to be sent via registered mail today. It is 2 p.m. I contact Big IT Company as I've had no information on how to perform restores. They walk me through opening the backup software and indicate me to select last night's backup. I reply that the screen is empty. They don't understand. I fill them in our earlier exchange from several months prior with the coworker and special permission, etc. You get it. I was right all along. They still ask me to manually index the last tape, but dice. I walk over to the legal person. It is now an hour later and they have phoned me twice already and explain that we don't have a backup because it was never implemented. They exclaim that this can't be true and that we will face legal implications if we don't restore the file. We go back and forth a bit until they say the magic words. If we don't have this letter at the receiving end by end of day tomorrow, we have a huge problem. They're pointing at a piece of paper on their desk. One sheet, a printed version of the document, 2 paragraphs of text with one handwritten correction. It takes them less than 5 minutes to retype it, all the time arguing that there should have been a backup. You've got to love the incompetence of people. They could have a hard copy in this case and still demand a backup. Well, you could scan that hard copy in, back it up that way. You could retype it up, back it up that way. There's many other ways. It seems like this person just didn't know how to do their job. This next one is by Calypso Pub. Another post just now reminded us that it's not always obvious. Check the environment. This made me think of a story from a friend Dave, who is now sadly no longer with us, so he can't tell this tale himself. I hope I can do it justice. Dave was called out to a site because one of their servers kept rebooting itself randomly. He pulled out his network sniffing toolbox and ran some tests, but couldn't duplicate the error. After a while, he needed a break, so he set the software to page him if the server rebooted, and took himself off for a snack and a pee. So he's in the bathroom, does his thing and flushes. Immediately, the pager goes off. Dave, being the genius that he is, thinks, what are the odds? He checks the logs. The server has detected a power fluctuation and, ever obedient to its instructions, rebooted. Don't ask me details as I don't have any. Dave goes back to the bathroom, starts flushing things. When he gets to that same urinal, boom, the pager goes off. Long story short, the electrical line for the server's power outlet was right next to the water pipe in the wall. Flushing would flex the pipe just enough to touch the wire, which, even with normal insulation, was enough of a temperature differential to cause a slight power fluctuation. I don't remember how they solved it, probably just used a different outlet, but Dave still might be there to this day if he hadn't needed to pee and picked that particular urinal to use. I don't even know how something like this would happen, but it obviously has to do with old building architecture, as well as modernizing old buildings. I don't know, but that definitely is a crazy story. This next one is from Tiger Dragon 180. Got an old one here from back when I worked for a repair depot for a major electronics box store. So when I worked there in college, we did a ton of repairs. Every repair had paperwork we had to do through an app, entering in serial numbers, product IDs, parts used, etc, etc. This was all fine and good, except we had literally dozens of pallets and massive bins of this certain crappy tablet. These tablets were cheap. The company's flagship tablet was so revolutionary because it ran Windows. Well, these tablets only had 3 or 4 product numbers, usually depending on size, and they only had one replaceable part. Motherboard parts were all in one and cheap as the rest of the tablet, and that was the only thing you would replace. If the screen was damaged, you failed it and moved on. Battery damaged, you might salvage a damaged screens one, but you wouldn't document it since it wasn't a new part. Anyways, these things you could mass repair and or fail out. I could fully break down and rebuild one in 6 minutes at one point, but the paperwork, even with the barcodes taped to my desk and a scanner, would slow me down. Naturally, we had quotas, but between testing, getting parts doing the swap, testing again, then doing paperwork, you get bogged down and usually at the end miss a few that won't count on that day's quota due to missed paperwork. Paperwork mainly slowed you down due to all of the screens you had to go through for each step. Just endless navigation, even to fail a unit. So I decided I was in college learning to code. I wrote a VB script to read a spreadsheet where I quickly scanned in the basics. SN, pass fail, product ID, part number, part SN, etc. I do blocks of like 10 tablets, as many as I could fit on my desk and shelves, scan them in while testing and such, and then at the end of the day I'd run the script. It would read the boxes, fill stuff in accordingly, and close the ticket, printing off the pass or fail labels for shipping. I'd match them up to the boxes and ship them out. Management didn't like it because it wasn't company approved. Mid submitted it to the company but never heard anything back, so I kept using it regardless because I was turning out the most repairs on those tablets of anyone. Towards the end, I'd even spread it to a few people I liked and trusted, taught them how to use it, made sure my work wasn't just gone at the end and could continue saving others from the boring paperwork. I could imagine that it's the paperwork that holds up most of what you're trying to do in that job. The fact that you had took the time to make a program and then shared it with the few trusted people, fantastic, because you made their lives so much easier. And our final one is by Just Some Guy 56. I had a gig supporting a company's mainframes when PCs first started becoming popular. The IT director, Bob, whose technical expertise didn't extend much past punched cards and paper tape, decided that no one in his empire should ever have a PC that was better than his. We got a new shipment of PCs, and of course, the first one went on a table in Bob's office. We were pretty sure he never used it because every time we went into his office, it was buried under an ever-growing pile of manuals, magazines, memos, and coffee cups. A month went by and someone needed a replacement keyboard. So after Bob went home, we snuck into his office, moved all the crap off his PC, and swapped out his keyboard. Then another guy's monitor got a little wonky, so we took Bob's. Within a few months, we had taken the memory, hard drive, power supply, coax card, and power cable. Pretty soon, all he had left was the empty case. And when the company had the next round of upgrades, Bob was first in line because he was a power user. Oh yeah, that power user really knows how to work with an empty case. The fact that he claims to use the computer so much, but months went by and he didn't even realize that it was gutted. Wow. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Tech Support. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload. And drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.